Hi, CNT120 Network Design. We're working on the packet tracer portion, the part 3. So far we have the horizontal cabling in our building, and we just got done doing the cabling to the phone and the PCs. So the patch cables out in the work areas are done. The other thing we want to do is we want to move into the closet to cable up there. But before we do that, let's slide over here. We had the printer we didn't cable in yet. Let's cable the printer in while we are here. Okay, fastening it here into jack 1. And that'll be cabled into our network so that it is usable. Alright, let's now scroll down here to our closet. Let's click on the closet. These are all the horizontal cabling connections coming in from the building into the patch panel. I'm going to zoom in here. If I right click on this, I can actually I can manage all these cables and it'll put them away behind so they're not in my way. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to work down through the patch panel and connect all of these ports. We cabled up to I think 16. We're going to cable those ports into the switch. And to keep it organized, we're just going to go port 1 here, jack 1 here to port 1 here. And keep it nice and organized that we know exactly where every connection is going. Some of these will have link lights come on because we actually have devices plugged into them. Some of them will not because they are the extra port in each room. So don't panic. We see some link lights coming on and other ones will not. That's that extra port that we have in each room for future expansion, if you will. And I'm just going to very organized work my way down the line here. Jack 9 to port 9 on the switch. Jack 10 to 10 and so forth. If we get one out of alignment, if we get one of these out of alignment, come up here and select your delete tool and just carefully delete that cable that's wrong. We'll delete that one. I'm going to hit the escape key now. I'll grab my patch cable and plug it right back in. 11 to 11, just in case you get it in the wrong spot. 12 to 12, get in there, 13 to 13, 14 to 14, and I think we used up to port 16, so we're definitely going to cable up to 16, okay. We could continue if we wanted to, but I'm at least going to get those. That should be all of the devices out in the building. I'm going to back out a level. I'll zoom out a little bit, and I should now have all of these devices in the building cabled into the switch. All right, let's keep going. So over here we have the patch cables in the closet. Those are done. We want to now add the access points into the network. So the access points, these are going to cable into ports 21 and 22 on the switch. So we're going to take a cable straight from the access point. We're going to click on the closet. We're going to go to the switch this time, to the switch, switch A, and we're going to ports 21 for this first access point. And then this one over here, we're going to go port 22 into the switch, port 22, right in there. I'll do my bend point again, and I will have this guy kind of join the cable tray. I'll do this guy as well, and I'll have them join the cable tray too. Get over here, come on now. There we go, and I'll just kind of arrange these so that they're near the cable tray like that, just so kind of like they're going down the line with the other ones. Alright, so now my access points are connected in as well. So what we can do now is start powering up the phones and then work on the settings on the PCs. So to power up the phones, let me zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to click on a phone. I'll start here in the corner. I'll click on the phone. This shows the back of the phone. I'm going to grab the power cord down here, and this little adapter here in the corner needs to go into that hole right there, that power plug right there. So I'm going to drag this up until that drops in there, and that'll power the phone on. And you'll actually see the link lights start turning green. It's going to power, it's going to boot up, it's going to talk to the switch to get its VLAN, it's going to talk to the router to get its IP, then it's going to talk to the router again and get its phone config. So it's going to take a minute to do this, so I'm just going to work around the building and literally just power every single one of these on. Just going to go right around the building here and power all these guys on. Plug the power cord into each one. And by the time I get around the building, the first one should be close to done or close to booting up. Oops, got ahead of myself. Click on the phone, power cord. Down here, click on the phone, grab the power cord. And do the same thing for these two guys down here. Click on the phone, power cord, click on the phone, power cord. Alright, so now the phone should be booting. Again, they're going to take a minute or two to do that. After that, we're now going to set all the computers for dynamic IP addressing. So maybe to speed things along, I'm going to hit the speed up button here a couple times to get these phones to register and boot up and so forth a little quicker. I'm now going to click on the PC. I'm going to go to my desktop settings IP, and I'm going to set this for DHCP, and I'm going to look for it to pull up an IP from the router. If it does, awesome, keep moving. If it doesn't, just cycle this again, and it should pick up an IP from the router. Okay. If the phone is not done booting, it might give you an error trying to get an IP. So I'm just going to work my way around the building, make sure it's picking up an IP. Okay, I'm going to continue around the building till I do that. All right, I'm going to pause the video while I do the rest of these. All right, I finished these PCs down here. So if I hold my pointer over one of these PCs, it should bring up a little window here. There we go. And down towards the bottom, I'll see, or actually kind of in the middle there, I'll see the IP address of the PC. I know it's getting an IP. And if I do the same thing on the phone, if I hold it over there, I'll see towards the bottom down here, VLAN 20, I see the IP address, and if I look down at the bottom line 1, that'll be the phone number it got from the router. So I can actually work my way around here and verify that they all have an IP and phone number. Once I see that, I'm then going to open up the PC and see if I can browse to the ISP over here, the CNT.org. So I'm going to open up this PC, go to the web browser here, and I'm going to try to browse to the ISP, which is, I have a web server over there that is www.cnt.org. So www.cnt.org. And we're going to give that a test. And if I've done everything right to this point, all the cabling and all the config, I should be able to load that web page from the ISP. Now, it does take a minute for the first time to kind of find its way. So we can kind of maybe move it along here a little bit, or try our best to. And there we go. We're getting the web page from the ISP, so I know all of my connections and all my configurations so far are working correctly. Progress around the building to do that, make sure all the PCs are connecting. The next test we would do, let's get the laptop connected to the Wi-Fi, the laptop in the meeting room connected to the Wi-Fi. Well, these access points are pre-configured with an SSID, okay, and even a password. If I open the access point here, I'll see that this is the SSID that's configured, and here's the passphrase that's configured. So we're going to take the laptop over here, and the laptop should actually have a wireless card in already. There you go. We're going to go to the desktop on this guy, open the PC wireless, and we're going to try to connect to that Taxes Wi-Fi SSID. So we're going to look for that SSID to show up here. We'll make sure we select that, and then we're going to do connect. And then we're going to plug in the password 123. If I can type, I got it. Get rid of it. There we go. Password 123, and we're going to try to connect. We'll give it a second to try to connect. We're then going to come over here and check the link information. It looks like it's connected. Okay. I'm going to close that, and I should see. There we go. Here's our laptop again. Let me open this up. Let's go to the IP config tab now. And I'm going to do DHCP to make sure it's picking up an IP from the DHCP server on the router. Again, if it does not, just recycle it. Just recycle it so it hopefully picks up an IP. And I do. And again, once I have that, I'm going to go to the desktop here to the web browser and try to browse to the ISP. Same thing we did on the desktop PC. We're going to do this on the laptop. We'll do www.cnt.org. And we're going to try to load that web page, and there we go. So now we know the laptop config and the wireless config is functioning correctly. All right, again, I'm going to save my packet tracer if I have not done that in a while. So we're getting there. We now have the laptop up and running. Now we're going to double check our phones. Are the phones functioning? So to do this, we're going to need to open up two phones. So I'll go up here to these two in the corner. I'm going to click on this one and get it. I'll slide it over here. I'm going to click the GUI tab, and this shows me the front of the phone. I'm going to click the next phone over here, do the GUI tab. Okay, so I'm going to try to get both of these open here that we can see both. There we go. So here's the two office phones. Here's 7101, and here should be 7103, I think, because that's across the hall. Yep, we're right next door. I'm going to pick the handset up on this one and try to dial this office over here. I see the call coming in. I'll pick it up, and we're actually able to call between the two. So again, my phone configuration, the router is functioning. These phones have been cabled up correctly, powered up correctly. So my test configuration on my network is working. I've cabled everything correctly. All right. So I can try a couple more of those if I want to. But I now have my site essentially connected and functioning. Again, make sure you save if you haven't. I'm going to click on the logical tab now. And if I go out here and look, this should look like the network map that we did for the first part of our design lab. There it is. There's the router, switch, access points, phones, computers, etc. There is our network map that we did in Packet Tracer. So what has been done in the background for you is there has been some switch config out here to do some VLANs and put things in their own VLAN. The computers and phones are in their own VLAN. If I do this real quick, I'll show you the config on this guy. If I look down through here is phone config for PCs and phones. Actually, the VLAN config, excuse me, for the phones in their VLAN and the PCs in their own VLAN. This has been done behind the scenes for you. And then the same thing on the router. If I take a peek at it, we'll look at the config here real quick. There is some DHCP config here for the PCs, IP phones, and Wi-Fi. There is interface config for each of those networks. And then there is NAT configuration. So we're network address translation. We're translating the IP address that the ISP gave us into the private IP schemes we want to use inside. And then there's actually phone config down here for all the phones, all their MAC addresses, and their phone numbers. So all this was sitting in the background for you. All we had to do is connect everything up. But the point to all of this is, if we have everything selected and cabled correctly and then configured correctly, we can actually make the plan we did in the very first part of this lab, the plan we made, this one right here, we can make this work for this site. So this is a workable solution for our customer. What you'll do now is make sure you save this config, save your packet tracer file config if you haven't already. You'll want to put like your name in the your last name in here on your file name. But this is a file you're now going to submit with your lab. As I look at your map and as I look at your cost sheet, I'll open up this and let it load, and then I will come in and kind of look at your cabling. Yep, looks like you have everything cabled. Then I'll come over here and I'm going to look for blinky green lights on everything, and I'll do a quick browse test to make sure things are functioning in your network. So there is the packet tracer portion, the cabling portion, and the function test portion of our design lab.